today is basically how to play the guitar. Excuse my hand here. When you only know a couple of chords. So let's say you only know how to play, let's say G and D chord, or maybe E minor and A, or maybe just C and F. Okay, so let's say you only know 2 or 3 chords. You haven't really learned too many songs yet. Maybe you're wondering, where is this going to go? Am I going to be able to play music and have fun with this? And yes, you are. So what we're going to do today is we're going to show you how you can play the guitar when you only know 2 chords. So let's get warmed up here a little bit. If you're new to the channel, let me know where you're tuning in from. I'm Brian here in Rossley, New Brunswick, Canada, and we're just going to do some picking and learn some guitar tricks when we only know 2 chords. We'll learn some strumming, maybe some finger picking patterns. Let's do the 2 chord thing. Okay. I know I should have did my proper warm-up from the last video. Let's give that a run through. There, warm. Okay, so let's say you only know a couple of chords, so let's do a few here. Let's say you know how to play an E minor chord, and you know how to play an A chord. Okay, there are tons of songs that go E minor to A, so even without thinking about what song you're playing, it's still very helpful just to strum those 2 chords. So you could strum them any amount of time that you wanted to. I always recommend keeping things in 4s for the beginning. So you do 4 strums of each one. 1, 2, 3, 4, and you go to A. Add an up strum. You can go E minor to D. And you can put your thumb on the top one on the 2nd fret, and that makes it a D over F sharp chord. By the way, all those chords that look like fractions, it says D / F sharp. What that means is that they're telling you to make a D chord, and you want to have F sharp as the lowest sounding note instead of the D. So typically on a D chord, you would start on your D string. But if it's D over F sharp, you got to add F sharp, which is the 2nd fret up here on your E string. Okay, so that's a D over F sharp chord. So you could add that in. You can do finger picking. So E minor to A and E minor to D are 2 very good examples of practicing switching between 2 chords if you only know 2 chords. And if you knew all 3 of those chords, of course, you could go between all 3 of them. You could go E minor, you could go D, and then go to A. Back to D, back to A, whatever you want to do there. You just have fun. Break on my own rule. Supposed to keep it in 4s. D, or it's 4. E minor A, E minor D. Very good choices for learning to switch your chords and have fun playing the guitar. Just knowing a few basic things. Let's talk about another chord change. Let's do G to D. Should sound very similar to E minor D. G, and D. Very good chords to try. So there's two examples now. So you go E minor to A, E minor to D. If you knew all three, you could go E minor, D, A, or any kind of variation that you want to have fun with creating there. You could go G to D. Let's try to think about one more. And let me know in the comments, too, if you're watching, what chord changes you'd like to maybe talk about. And we'll go over some of the strum pattern I was doing there a little bit in this next example. Let's do, I don't know, we could do any chord. Let's do C to G. Now, C is hard for students in the beginning, learning that chord, so you could make C this way if you know it. Okay. C, G, C, G. Back to C. Okay. And that's fun and it sounds musical, and you don't have to be too worried about the song you're playing. You're just having fun, jamming some chords. And so yeah, strum pattern, what I was doing there, you know, the most basic 4 down strums on each one. The next thing you could do to kind of spice things up a little bit is do 1, 2, 3, 4, and then at the very end of your 4th strum, do an up strum before you switch to the chords. You're gonna go. Okay, that's one. Another way you could do things is you could practice fingerstyle guitar. You'd have to be a little bit more advanced for this, but just say you're learning fingerstyle patterns, and we do a video on the channel about this as well. Okay, so you're doing E minor, and you can go to D. If you know more complicated chords like E minor up here, you can certainly do that. Go to D here. Sometimes I like to try to get my thumb to do that with my pinky. Just kind of a fun thing that I try to do. You don't have to do that. Jeez, that's awkward. I've seen some finger pickers do those kind of moves, and I don't know. They must have just always grew up doing those kind of weird shapes. That's not very natural to me at all. Yeah, so there's some examples of 2 chords and strumming and doing some finger picking. If you want that finger picking video, it's in our fingerstyle guitar lesson library on the channel. You can check that out, and it'll get you started doing some basic thumb patterns over a couple different chords. Okay, so yeah, if you're watching, let's go through it again. Let's practice doing E minor to D. We'll just do 4 strums each. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, D. 1, 2, 3, 4, minor, D. One more time, E minor, and D. And the other one we did was E minor to A. So we did E minor. 1, 2, 3, 4 to A. 2, 3, 4, E minor. To A. Another good tip, if you're making A chord, try to make it as a bar. It's going to pay off a lot more in the long run. Okay, so the other shapes we did was C to G. The other thing you could do is if you only know 2 chords, no matter what they are outside of these ones that I've told you that will work, you could take any 2 chords and just jam them together and see what happens. So let's try to do G to F. Hey, that works. Let's say you knew G and D minor. Let's see what that sounds like. It doesn't really matter. Any 2 chords that you know, basically any 2 chords that you know outside of those examples that I gave you that work, you know, perfectly theoretically, and every example we can figure out the math on and tell you why it worked out the way that it did. But even without knowing all kinds of advanced theory, there's something we like to call, you know, the rules of rock and roll. you know, commonly you don't see someone doing a song that goes G to D minor, but it works. It just works and it sounds fine. And the funny thing is that the more times you do it, the more okay your ear becomes with it. Okay, so go grab your guitar and have fun. Start practicing 2 chords together. Don't get so caught up in what song is this, or I want to play like whoever. You'll get there eventually. Just start having fun playing through some chords. And don't forget to let me know where you're watching from. I'm Brian here in Rossay, New Brunswick, Canada, at Brian Baker Guitar Studio. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions or anything you want to talk about. So let's pick it out here. I'm gonna go to that D minor, see what it sounds like. G. D minor. I think I kind of like G to D minor. All right. Have fun. Go play your guitar. Any 2 chords you want. Try out some of those strum patterns and just have fun. Thanks, everyone. We'll be back real soon with another video.